The link is in your Telegram. Hey, friends. Caleb.
Oopsie. No plans to merge live recording. That's happening right now, isn't it?
And, yep. Caleb and I are going live for this week's No Plans to Merge live recording on YouTube. Come hang out in the chat. Boom and boom. There's my tweet.
I got a tweet going.
You got a tweet going? I love when you get a tweet going.
With D. Cole Bop starting right now. Come chill. Tweet. You do yours. I
will
yours.
retweet it from No Plans to Merge.
There we go.
Let's go, baby.
So
you have been summoned.
So now we hang out in the chat until we record the real thing.
Yep, that's what we do. That is what we do. Let's wait for a couple of people to show up.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the wave emoji. Got it.
Wait for a couple of fools to show their
Daniel,
faces.
What should we talk about today, Daniel?
That's not how we don't plan, Caleb.
Isn't that what don't we plan like when we get on?
Oh, that's true. Hey, look, Roberto Dev is here.
Hey.
We've got a viewer.
Oh, that number it's oscillating right now. We were up to 5 for a second there.
Were we?
Yeah, we were.
It could have just been us.
Could have been. We're down to 3. Just us and Roberto.
Just us and Roberto.
Hanging out.
Oh, we got 2 now. 3 even. All right.
What's that? We got. Oh my, dude.
We've got viewers coming out of the woodwork, sir.
Hey, Gert Jan. I wish I knew how to pronounce your name confidently, because in my mind it's like Gert Jan.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Gertjan? Gertjan?
Let's hang on. I bet we can. Let me just pull YouTube.
Gertjan.
Search Gertjan pronunciation. How to pronounce
Jertan Verbeek.
Jertan.
Oh, seriously?
Jertan.
Ha! Jertan. There we go. You did great. No, we did horrible.
No, we didn't.
No, let us get away with that.
Don't say we did great when we didn't do great. Now I'll never be able to trust praise from you again.
I know. Oh, it's not. It's not Jertan?
Oh, it's not Jertan. Is it Gertjan?
Wow. Gertjan. Gertjan.
Wow.
Gertjan. 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 Is it Jan, John, or Jen? Is the question. So please put that in there.
That's rough. That's rough.
Yeah.
Caleb, you've got an easel with no canvas. You've got a guitar stand with no guitar.
There's a metaphor there. Like you said it at first, Gertjan.
You've got all of these stands for making art, but none of the actual art making.
Yeah,
stuff.
That's not what it's about, Daniel.
Yeah.
It's not what it's about. Okay, Daniel Colborn. So what are we gonna talk about today?
What are we gonna talk about today? Well, I mean, there's Alpine Day updates we can talk about. But then we could also not talk about them. There's, on the one hand, there's the excitement of all of the stuff that we know that people don't know. On the other hand, there's the fear that we say too much and we
can't say anything right now because I have to pad every bit of news by like minimum a week because it always changes.
Yeah, that's true.
Like we settled on a date, remember? And like it just changes.
Ben Miller says status on new Morph Dom. Is that a thing?
Oh, yeah. So this is funny. I mean, it's done. I'm not the future of it is up in the air. It is going to be here's a little drop for you. It's going to be a plugin for Alpine V3. So it's done and it's tested and everything. The question is, at which point does Livewire use it? I don't know if I'll use it in Livewire before the next version of Livewire, or if I'll just honestly keep them both around until we're ready for that. I can never make open source. Nobody can say my name.
Well, look at Frake.
Yeah, look, everybody figured Frake out. Very few people call him
Frake
Freak now.
Yeah, if Frake can do it, you can do it.
Yeah. We got Brad asking, what are some of the other good seasons of Survivor to watch?
Okay, we'll talk about Survivor for sure. Caleb, you started answering the question about Morphdom, but we hadn't started recording yet.
Right.
Is that what you wanted to do?
I was just answering a question.
Okay. Because here's the thing is we could just stay in this YouTube live chat and answer questions all day, but I think the goal is that we're collecting topics to talk about after we press record.
Right. Okay. So now's your chance, folks, because pretty soon we basically stop looking at the chat so that we don't make a podcast that is like super awkward to listen to.
Yeah, a chat-based
from
podcast.
A podcast.
Yeah. Next version.
Hopefully, and that would be the goal. If I have enough work cycles available to do that's totally the goal. But yeah, so throw them out there. You got topics. Okay, so we got to talk Survivor.
We do have to talk Survivor.
Mitch is asking if we can talk 2 times faster. Yes, we can totally do that.
Yes, we can definitely do that, Caleb. So I'm your other host, Dan Forward.
Which topic? Yeah, right. Yeah, what does that sound at 2 times?
Yeah.
More topic than last name.
Than last time.
Oh, than last time. Did he say last name at first, or,
nope.
or is my brain that?
Your brain is bad. Yeah, so last time...
Am I on drugs?
Last time we just ended up talking about capitalism the entire time, and boy, did I get a lot of fucking Twitter about that.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Oh, people love defending capitalism. From,
it's tough when it's coming from a guy who participates in capitalism.
Yeah, no.
Not that you have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you do have a choice.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, I definitely have a choice.
You blend right in, Daniel.
I blend right in, yeah.
So far in your career, there's no difference between...
Mm-hmm. You say that you oppose capitalism, but I see that you also eat food.
Okay. What should we get this thing going? Oh, folks hanging out in the chat. Depending on how long you're here for, if something happens during this recording, if there's a topic switch, if there's something that you think, I know, if there's something that you think is soundbite worthy, please
just say the word highlight in the chat.
Yeah. Say the word highlight. Great. Just type out highlight. Like if one of us says something of value, it's probably not going to happen. But if one of us or if we go on a rant.
Well, and last episode was unhighlightable.
Right. And so if you find something, like it could be a 20-minute chunk, it could be a 2-minute chunk. We're looking to, make some little bits and bytes for YouTube. So
just say highlight in the chat, and that will call high life, exactly, just like that.
High life.
Every low life needs a high life.
Yeah.
Did you ever say that as a younger man?
No.
You were not the phase every low life needs a high life wasn't in your vocabulary?
What? Sorry. Just reading the chat. That's why we can't have chat.
Miller High Life, the champagne of beers?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
That was the thing. It's like if you got because they sold 40s of it, and if you got a 40 of it, you would say every low life needs a high life. Just you had to at some point say that.
Gotcha. Nope. Don't know.
Nah.
Brad, Livewire, is there a way to get some better errors around hydration? I run into issues at a ton of troubleshooting, and it always end up being hydration issues. Yeah, it's a tough problem. Yeah, don't know the perfect answer to that off the cuff right here on the podcast, but all right. So Dan Cole, let's do it.
Let's first go. Let's after we do that, let's just kind of catch up and get into our normal podcast rhythm, and then we'll come back to some of these topics.
Yep.
All right.
So
what's the program I use to record this called Audio Hijack?
Hello.
Hello, 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 hello.
Okay.
All right. Ready?
Ready.
All right. And 3, and 2, and 1, and click.
Hello and welcome to another episode of No Plans to Merge. I'm your host, Caleb Porzio.
We got to start over, Caleb.
Okay.
Something with my audio chain has made it such that I am hearing you in
Hello.
double. And I don't enjoy that. Output device is probably what it is. So if I just turn this off, keep talking.
Talking.
Okay, yeah, that's good. So I'm just going to remove this thing from the chain. All right, now I'm going to stop recording and we're going to start again. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
And 3, and 2, and 1, and click.
Hello and welcome to another episode of No Plans to Merge. I'm your host, Caleb Porzio.
I'm your other host, Daniel Colburn.
Today's episode is brought to you by Gink.
Gink.
Dry fly dressing. World's best.
Okay. Caleb,
Thank you, Gink.
I think I understand what a dry fly is.
Okay.
I don't know what dry fly dressing is. It seems antithetical because it seems wet.
Yes, it's true. You know what? I don't actually know anything about Gink. The stuff I use to dress my dry flies is like a powder, like a silicone powder. I'm going to get it for you, but yeah. But Gink, I think, is not. Here it is. This is the coolest stuff ever. This is dry shake.
Mm-hmm.
You toss your fly in this. So here's the problem statement.
Mm-hmm.
Your
so you have
fish and dry
feathers, they're
flies
going to get wet. You don't want the feathers to get
exactly,
wet.
and they sink. And then it's like, what's the point of the dry fly?
Mm-hmm.
So you dry shake. You pop the fly in. You shake it about. And you take it out, rhymes, cast it out, and catch a trout. So Gink is the stuff that you always just see referenced, and it was $5, so I bought Gink, and I think
so
it's
basically like some kind of a sealant or something.
Yeah, I guess so.
Put on your flies.
Rub small amount of Gurky's Gink into dry fly before getting it wet. Gink melts at skin temperature and won't cake small hackles like silicones do.
I'm sorry.
Floats dries for hours.
Won't cake small hackles.
Won't cake those small hackles now.
Gink dries at skin temperature and won't cake small hackles.
Gink will never let you down. Don't guess. This is the best.
Can you imagine
at the bottom?
Like you know that Japanese soldier who like was on that island for like 30 years after World War II and didn't know that the war was over?
Is this Unbreakable?
Unbreakable.
Is that the plot to Unbreakable?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what that is. I just know that there were Japanese soldiers who are on remote islands who just like continued to do their duty guarding these islands 30 plus years after World War II was over, not knowing that the war had ended.
That's insane. Is that real?
Yeah, that's a real
nuts,
thing,
dude. Huge
anyway,
bummer.
Imagine that you are that person, right? And it's been 30 years since you saw another human soul, right?
Yeah.
And you're sitting on the island and you washed your uniform, you've got your kind of collar stiff, you're just patrolling, looking for gunboats or whatever it is that you're looking for every day, right? And you're just there and you see a boat in the horizon, right?
Yeah.
And the boat is coming towards land. And you're like, oh my God, this is it. This is the moment I've been preparing for the last 30 years. And you get your rifle out and you like kind of crouch behind this rock and you aim your rifle and the boat pulls up and a person in like a uniform with lots of medals kind of like steps off the boat onto the beach. And sort of walks towards you and like salutes you and you like salute him back and he goes, Gink melts at skin temperatures and won't gunk small hackles.
What in the world? Daniel, I thought you were taking me somewhere.
What if you hadn't spoken to another human being in 30 years and someone just appeared out of the blue and just looked you in the eyes really seriously and said, Gink melts at skin temperatures and won't gunk small hackles.
I would think I'm hallucinating. I don't know.
I think I'm
Daniel.
hallucinating right now. That
I
sentence
think you are hallucinating
that
right
sentence
now.
is so
You
nonsensical.
took me on a journey, and I really thought that you were going to lead me somewhere.
Yeah, no, I baited you and then I switched you.
Yes, that
You
was a
resent it?
classic bait and switch. And now I have so many questions about those people on those islands. For example, how did they live for 30 years without like civilization? And if they did have civilization, why didn't they know the war was over?
Yeah, so presumably these were some sort of survival experts. They probably
30 years though?
or
Like
maybe they had
the way
rations.
you describe them is having collars and freshly washed uniforms.
Well, I'm just
Don't
thinking
picture that holding up for 30 years on an island.
I'm thinking if you're like a person who is this committed to the war, like you're probably also a person who like very meticulously like hand washes their uniform.
This is wild. Where are you hand washing the uniform?
Probably in the ocean.
Where do you get your food? You hunt your food?
They must be fishing. That's the only option, right?
Dude, this is nuts. So let's say 29 years. Let's say that the war kept on for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
These dudes are disheveled,
Yep.
malnourished,
Yep.
ragtag clothes. They got a volleyball with a face on it.
Yep.
The enemy comes in with weaponry. It's over. Like, what do they think?
Dude, it's a wrap.
There had to be like a point where they look at each other like, dude, I can't do it. We're only like 2 minutes in. I can't do it. But they're like, dude, do you guys think we might be fit to defend this island? Oh, man.
It does seem like kind of a hard task to accomplish if you haven't eaten in 30 years.
I'm thinking these dudes are just holding on. I'm thinking that they can't get back. I think that's the deal.
But anyway, at some point, the Japanese government like went and like officially relieved them of duty.
That's the crazy part. The Japanese government knew where they were and they waited 30
Well, this
years.
is the part of the story I don't know.
I would be so pissed.
I think that maybe what happened is that like a fisherman might have gone to the island and come across these people.
That's
and been
likely.
like, "What's your deal?" And they were like, "We're here defending this island from the Americans. What do you mean?" And they're like, "That war's been super over for a super long time. Do you want to see an iPhone? Have you ever seen one of these?" And the guys are like, "I don't believe you because my orders come from the Japanese military and you're just some fisherman. You could be a spy for the Americans. Get gone." So that guy probably went back, called the Coast Guard, and was like, "Yo, did you guys forget somebody?"
Yeah. And then the real part of the story is what the Japanese government did to pretend that the war just ended.
Yeah,
So
right. Yeah, it's like a Truman Show
thing.
situation.
Exactly. And like the funny part of the story is like the one thing that's out of place that the dudes are like, wait a minute. Is that I don't know, a McDonald's? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, and Japan now versus Japan during World War II are radically different places. Like
You don't know that. How would you know that?
I wouldn't. You're right. That's true. That's something I wouldn't know.
Interesting. Yeah, that's true from my reading in what's Phil Knight's autobiography, Shoe Dog.
Sounds like something you would know.
That's great when people do that. When they, what's the thing that you won't know but I know? Oh yeah, like we're in this together.
We are in this together.
Daniel, maybe this episode is the Japan episode.
That's true.
So I've been
Have you
talking with
been?
Hannah, and so we want to go to Japan.
Me
And
too.
we talked to Mama Colborn at length about
Uh-huh.
our Japan trip, and she's going to host us
Cool.
for sure.
Cool.
Ri, as they call her,
Ri. That's what they call her.
and Recall.
Recall. Yeah. That's her Instagram.
Recall.
Yeah. She takes really
Yeah.
good pictures. You should go follow her.
She really does. They're actually incredible. If you don't follow Recall on Instagram,
I think it's Recall.
follow.
Let me not lie
It is
to
Recall.
the people. It is?
No, it is. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's like one of 3 accounts I follow. Daniel, Yes, we talk about Japan from time to time, whatever, and we're both like Daniel. I'm like Daniel, like lived there. Like, why did you live? You lived in another country
That's yeah.
most of your life,
Uh-huh.
and we are friends, and it doesn't come up that often, and we still have most of the same like references. There's just a gaping hole in your SpongeBob knowledge. That's the big one.
Yeah, no, 90s pop culture, anything on Nickelodeon, I'm almost useless.
Right.
It's stuff like that where I really fall down and like but other than that, like I've got a lot of the same references.
So Hannah's like, you need to do a Japan No Plans to Merge. I'm like, we totally do.
No Japan's to merge.
So I don't know if today's No Japan's to Merge, but
Well, yeah, I mean we can talk about Japan.
we should at least try it. We
Okay,
should at
yeah,
least
yeah.
talk about it a little bit.
What
Daniel,
Yeah. What do you
I
want to
have
know?
good questions for you.
This is great.
How many years of your life did you spend in Japan?
So, it was 15 years of being in Japan.
Okay. So 15 years between.
Or no, that's not true. Sorry. There was 15 years from the first time I went to Japan
Yeah.
to when I left Japan.
Okay.
But there was
What
times
age were
in
you the first
between
time?
where I was in America.
Right. Okay.
So
How old were you when you first went to Japan?
I was 3.
Okay. How old were you when you left Japan?
I was
18.
17 actually.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was like just under 15 years, I guess.
Gotcha. Okay, so you spent about 15 years in Japan. How many full years inside those 15 years did you live in the US?
So we were there. I think this is the schedule. So the theoretical schedule was we would be there for 4 years and then be back for 1 year.
Yep.
But I think what actually happened was we were there for 3 years, back for a year, there for 4 years, back for a year, then there for 5 years and back for a year.
Gotcha.
So it evens out to 1 out of every 5 years we were back.
The next question is why you were there, but I have to interrupt this Q&A to say one of the reasons that this came up was like, I feel like I have a handful of friends who are more Japanese than you.
Oh,
Like
definitely.
that's the weird part. Like
Yep.
I had a friend growing up who had like, samurai swords from the local like karate hut, bonsai trees. He was super into anime,
Yeah.
played all the Final Fantasies, like was all on it,
Yep.
But you're not that guy.
Yeah, I'm not into anime.
You're not into anime. It's basically what
I'm
I
not
mean.
a weeb, as they call them.
That's what they call them.
Yep. So the thing with me is that I actually don't know a lot of Japanese kids who have samurai swords.
You know a lot of American kids that do.
I know a
though?
lot of American kids who are real into Japan who have samurai swords.
For sure.
And I think
So you
like,
didn't have like a little like Zen garden in your bedroom.
Yeah, exactly.
Little
Like
rake.
it's like a country full of people who do like normal things.
Right. I'm more thinking of the anime thing.
Yeah. I would say, like, even within Japan, I think that there is like a subset of people who are more into anime than other people.
Okay.
I would say the cross section of people who are kind of into anime is a lot wider in Japan, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like Marvel movies or something here.
Okay.
Where it's like,
Gotcha. Some people are super
peo-
into Marvel. Some people, it's like
some
who
people
cares?
are
I've
like,
never
I'm
seen
not
it.
that into Marvel, but I did see the big one. You know?
Right. Yeah.
You know, but it's like, it's just kind of like that's part of culture, right? And like,
Yeah.
there are intense nerdy subcultures, and then there's like people who are just kind of like vaguely aware of whenever that subculture pops into the monoculture. You know,
Okay. You were in Japan because your dad's a missionary.
that's correct. Both of my parents are.
Both your parents.
Uh-huh.
Well, there you go. And so your parents are missionaries and they go to Japan. Why?
So so they basically, there was an existing missionary team there, and their goal was basically to like, I think, start churches, and build up the infrastructure for Japanese run churches.
Okay.
Right. So like, working with setting up a denomination in Japan that had a seminary that could train new pastors, and setting up the infrastructure for
Yeah.
how do you start a church, and what are what do you have to do with the government to do that? And, so
go ahead.
my dad would basically go and at first with other people, and then eventually he went to seminary and became a pastor and did it on his own. But my dad would basically go in, start a church, run the church for a little bit. And by run, I mean just be the pastor of the church for a little bit. And then bring in Japanese pastors under him as assistant pastors or whatever. And with the goal of ultimately handing the church over to a younger Japanese pastor.
Sure.
And then my dad would go start a different church.
Did he speak Japanese?
Yes.
Were his sermons in Japanese?
Yeah, my dad gives sermons in Japanese.
When did he learn Japanese? Was it just for this?
We went to language school. Or I mean, I didn't go to language school, but my parents went to language school, and I was in 3rd grade. So the first bit of time that we were in Japan, we lived in Chiba, which is sort of east of Tokyo on this little peninsula. Southeast. Okay. And we lived in sort of a bigger community of missionaries there. And then we came back and we moved to the mountains of Karuizawa, which is this very small town that's basically kind of like a vacation town. I'm sure there are a lot of towns in upstate New York that are like this, where it's like a mountain town with a lot of cabins that are owned by people.
Sure. That
they go to during the vacation months.
Cool, yeah.
But during the rest of the year, there's not a lot of people there.
Right.
There's only a few townies, but a lot of cabins that are owned by people.
Sure. Yeah.
So this language school was in this town. And so we lived on this mountain that was a full neighborhood, but most of the houses were unoccupied most of the year.
Wow.
And we had monkeys that would come and party.
No way.
We lived in, so there were some rich people. I don't even know how rich they were, but in my mind then they were really rich people who owned this vacation house.
Uh-huh.
And the vacation house had a smaller house out back.
Yeah.
And we rented the smaller house from them. I think we rented it. Maybe they donated it to us because we were missionaries. That's something that happened a fair decent amount.
Okay. Yeah.
Where people would be like, hey, you can just live in this house for free because you're doing God's work or whatever.
Yeah.
Regardless, we lived in the small house outside their big house. But their house had a tennis court. And it was a shitty tennis court, but whatever. It was a tennis court.
Yeah.
And there were these packs of 40 monkeys would come, and they would swing on the swings and climb on the net of the tennis court and just do all kinds of crazy shit. It was a wild Japanese mountain town. They are, oh man, I used to know. They are red. They're the ones with the red asses. I wrote a paper about them.
Baboons.
They're not baboons. But
these are small little guys, right?
Some are kind of big.
Could they mess you up?
Oh yeah. No, there was definitely when the monkeys are outside, you want to be in the house.
Chilling. No way.
Yeah.
For real. You're not if there's monkeys outside, it's
if there was one or two monkeys or something, it's probably fine.
Right.
But they would come in groups of 40 monkeys. And the larger monkey, macaque. Yes, Mitch, what's up?
Macaque, how do you spell that?
Macaque. Macaque.
Okay.
Okay,
yeah, macaque.
So, the larger ones of these monkeys are about the size and strength of an 8-year-old probably.
Okay.
Which is I could take an 8-year-old, but
these little guys.
Could I take an 8-year-old with the agility of a monkey who can fucking...
Oh, an 8-year-old who's just cut?
Yeah. Who's cut and can just kind of climb around your body with the agility of a monkey. Also has 30 other friends who want to fuck you up.
Dude, so do people do they domesticate these guys?
There are monkeys I think that are trained probably by like some like weird unethical like road
Right.
shows or whatever.
Okay.
But also like there's
Like
some
a Tiger King type
I had
guy.
heard of but I had also heard of monkeys that were like trained by like monasteries or whatever. And not like trained, but like the monasteries would like they'd hang out, you know?
This mountain town that you're in, so like a mountain town here, like Ellicottville is right, not that far. It's about an hour away. Ski town, and then Adirondacks is another one that, of course, that would probably come to mind for this kind of thing. And it's very not Asian. So I'm
Right.
wondering, a mountain town in Japan. I'm picturing like tea house, like
So all of that exists. I wouldn't say that was like the primary vibe.
okay, of where you were.
Yeah.
Right. Because I don't know a damn thing. So I don't know if this is
I mean,
like
it was just cabins on a mountain, right?
okay. Yeah.
Cabins, houses. It was like people's summer houses or whatever on
Yeah.
these mountains. Some of them were more cabiny, some of them were more housey.
And these cabins, we're talking like straight roofs, like the normal.
Yeah, they were just. I mean, they were
Yeah,
Japanese construction is
like
different than
not
American
like
construction.
this.
Yeah, no, they weren't like.
not like a furled mustache.
No, they
type
weren't.
roof.
They weren't like built in the 1600s or whatever. Like there's. But I mean, a lot of them did have those like ceramic tile roofs that you see in Japan.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty common even on like newer construction.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, there's definite like construction styles in Japan that are very Japanese.
Okay.
But most of them aren't like architected to look like a Buddhist temple or anything.
Okay. That's kind of, I mean, the closest I've come to Japan is the one in Central Florida that you can go.
Epcot.
And yes.
Okay. Yeah.
That's where I get my Japanese knowledge. Daniel, I picture you in a really, really tall, like high-rise apartment,
So we eventually did
like a
live
building with like 20 floors.
Yeah. So we were only at this language school for like 2 or 3 years or something, while my parents basically like intensively studied Japanese.
Wow.
And then we moved back to not Tokyo itself, but like a suburb on the outskirts of Tokyo.
Okay.
We were about like 2 train stations, maybe 3 train stations away from Tokyo Disneyland.
Okay. Yeah.
And we just that's where we lived. And it was a cool neighborhood. It was like reclaimed land. Do you know what that is?
No.
So it's basically, it used to be the Tokyo Bay. And they were like, we need more land.
I do know about this.
And so they basically,
built,
they just like dump, not like trash, but like construction trash.
Okay.
So like if they like tear down buildings
Concrete
and there's
and
like
stuff.
concrete
Yeah.
chunks or rebar or whatever,
Yeah.
they basically like dump this. So they build like a containing wall, and then they like dump this stuff into the ocean like continually for a really, really long time, and they let it settle for like 25 years. And then they basically like build land out of it. And then they built this whole town on it.
That's nuts.
Yeah. And I mean,
That's
it's
nuts, dude.
It's huge. Like, let me just like, Makuhari Baytown population. I want to know like how many people live on this reclaimed land now.
What's the name of it?
Makuhari
How do
Baytown.
you spell that?
Makuhare. So I'm just gonna search like Kaihin Makuhari population.
Makuhari Baytown. Okay. This is looking like pretty standard stuff, folks, for the listener. We're looking at something that kind of looks like, honestly, it looks like like parts of like Miami.
Yeah, no, and it's definitely
Got, like,
styled
palm
after
trees
Miami.
and-
Right.
Wow.
So, and they use the same colors that they use in Miami on all the buildings.
that's
Like those like
crazy.
pastel colors and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was like a pretty well-to-do suburb of Tokyo.
Sure.
And like it's interesting because like that the apartments are small because it's Japan, right? And so but they're expensive, right?
Okay.
And so it was weird.
How
'cause-
expensive in US dollars? Like,
So I don't actually know because
Okay.
I never had to pay the rent, but you should research that.
Yeah.
But they're expensive. So like we lived in buildings with people who had like Porsches and, you know, nice cars. But like we didn't have anything, right? So our not didn't have anything. We had everything we needed. but like we, because we needed to be where we were because that's where the church was supposed to be started. Because they had like whatever analytics they do to determine like what neighborhood needs a church. They were like, this is a growing population center with a lot of young families and 0 churches.
A lot of sin in this town.
I think it was just like, this is a place that a church should be. If you were going to say like, where is there not a church where there's an opportunity for a church?
Like a McDonald's would do.
Yeah. So anyway, this was the neighborhood to be in. But like our like rent and stuff was paid by like people who funded where we lived, like churches who donated to like fund where we lived or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So our like family income probably didn't match the neighborhood.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
But anyway, so we lived in this like pretty nice neighborhood and it was cool. I used to like all the buildings had like some kind of security system where like you would buzz in.
Okay.
But I would like climb in, and I got in trouble a bunch of times for like climbing into my own building. Nice. Sometimes once I think from someone else, but like more often from my dad being like, you have to stop climbing into this building. Like people like we're trying to like be like, oh, like we're not trying to be like, oh my gosh, that foreign menace of people
trying to be a city on a hill.
Yeah, we're trying to be a city on a hill, and you're like scaling the building. So you should stop doing that. But I did do it, and it was fun.
Daniel, did you have Japanese friends?
I did. So mostly when we first moved to Makuhari, the Miami-ish vibe place.
When you got out of the mountains.
When we got out of the mountains, I would have been in like 3rd, 4th grade maybe. And we had some next door neighbors who had a kid who was like the same age as me. And there was a elementary school like right across the street from us that had like basketball hoops and soccer nets and stuff. So we would like, me and him would go over there and play basketball and soccer and stuff. And then there's like these things that were really popular then called mini yonkuru, which means like mini 4-wheel drive. And it's these like model cars that kids would build, but they had these little electric engines, and you could buy all these parts, wheels and all gearboxes and all this other stuff. And you would, everyone had like a tool, every boy in Japan at this time who was around our age had a little toolbox full of parts for these cars. And you would go over to your friend's house and like each open up your toolbox and just like tinker and put together a car out of parts.
No way.
And race them.
That's so cool.
It was so cool. And I think I might have gotten one. I either got one for Matt's kid or I recommended one for Matt's kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Because, when Chai was sick for some reason.
Chai.
And Matt's kid.
Right. I thought it was, is it Chai? I thought it was Kai.
Kai. Yeah, that makes sense. Kai.
That's
but
really
I read it so much that I think Chai.
Right.
Like
I know. Malachi.
Chicago.
Though.
Malachi. Yeah.
Dude, that's so
Kai
funny.
was sick.
Chai.
Yeah. And anyway,
funny.
People were sending him stuff, and I was like, I'm going to send him this like cool car toy that I used to love as a kid.
That's crazy.
They're
what is
so
it called?
Awesome. So just search like mini 4WD, like mini 4-wheel drive.
Okay. Very interesting. Tamaya is like the company. And so these things, okay, it's cool. So these are, I mean, is it that different from our C cars that we have here? It's just
you don't like control them though.
You don't control them.
No, they just have a motor.
Oh,
and so you
tracks.
just set them down and they go. You can do them on tracks, or like we lived in these apartment buildings that had these long, like, you know how like a motel is where there's like doors, but there's like a balcony that runs the length of the building?
Yeah.
And so like everyone kind of comes out their front door and you're all standing on this long balcony together.
Yeah.
So we had those. And so we would like go out in front of the house and just race them down this like 200-foot like balcony or whatever.
Wow. Dude, these get pretty pricey on eBay. There's one for $560.
Yeah, well, I bet like the vintage ones are like super expensive now.
And it looks like a lot of them have like bumpers on them
Yep.
so that like they
So that
hit
if they hit a wall,
corner,
yeah.
they'll like turn the opposite way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. I gotcha.
You should get one of these
Very
just
cool.
to play with. Like they're really
Yeah.
fun. Get a cheap one.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. And
Leave
like
it to
there's
the
different engines,
Japanese.
there's different motors that are like different strengths. They all run off
Cool.
AA batteries, right? But it's
Cool.
like which motors are most efficient with AA batteries. You get into like different lubricants and stuff.
Wow.
You know, it's like it's really cool.
That's awesome.
So anyway, we'd play with those. We would play like Crash Bandicoot on the PlayStation. You know, we were just hanging out. So that was like my main like Japanese friend was like my next door neighbor Kinchi.
So PlayStation, was it more pop? Because my childhood also consisted of playing Crash Bandicoot on the PlayStation, but I didn't live in Japan. Was it like bigger there, same bigness, earlier? Like that's
I don't know. I was only in one place.
right.
So I didn't have like a frame
Except
of
for
reference.
the times you were in.
It did seem like, I mean, I played Nintendos when I was there,
Yeah.
but I actually think that in my immediate circle of friends, PlayStation was way more popular than
Interesting.
Nintendo. And
Right.
it wasn't until we came back to the US, I think, that I remember people being really into Nintendo.
Funny.
But I'm sure that they were because, like, if you look at like all the games that were created, there was tons and tons and tons of Nintendo games created for Japan.
Right. Yeah.
I might have just lived in a specific era where like the PlayStation was newer than the latest Nintendo,
right. Right.
and so that was
I think
just
that was. I mean, that was the case here. I
'Cause
remember
the
like
N64
my early
came out.
childhood had
Yeah.
an NES, and then like the Super Nintendo N64, but then it was like
then it was the PlayStation 1
knocked
all the way up until
socks
GameCube.
off of right.
And then I do remember when GameCube came out, everyone had them.
Okay. Did you play the new Crash Bandicoot?
No,
You didn't. It's pretty good. It's very good.
what's it on?
I think it's on everything.
Okay, word.
I played it on the Switch, but it brings you right back, dude.
Yeah.
Right back.
Hell yeah.
Yep. Ooka ooka.
Ooga, ooga.
Yep. It's a good time.
But yeah, played a lot of
Okay.
baseball.
Okay.
Baseball's big in Japan.
So Daniel, you speak Japanese?
Yes, and
Is that Japanese for yes?
I
Yes, Ed.
so I would say like when I left Japan, I was basically functionally fluent,
Okay.
right? Like I could do whatever I wanted to do.
Okay.
There was still stuff I didn't know how to say,
Yep.
but it was all specialized stuff, right? So it was like, oh, like I've never been to a a podiatrist's office before.
Right.
And so I don't know the word for bunions in Japanese, while I do know that word in English, right?
Right.
So it's like but like in general life stuff, I would just like speak Japanese to people and get around.
Okay. And would your family speak Japanese?
Yeah, so my
Inside?
sisters knew Japanese better than everyone else because they went to Japanese elementary school. I didn't. I went to an international school.
Ah.
But I had Japanese friends. We took Japanese classes. I lived in Japan. You just have to talk
Right.
to people. Like,
Yep.
so we were all like pretty fluent.
Yep.
My two little sisters went to Japanese elementary school and have like, well, I don't know if they do now, but back then they had no accent. Like if they picked up the phone, people thought they were Japanese.
No way.
If I picked up the phone, people said I had an accent that was like one of the southern cities, but like not like an American, right?
right.
Like,
right.
but like I didn't sound like where I lived.
Yep.
And then I think both my parents had an accent of like, or at least at that point, had an accent of like an American who learned Japanese.
Right. Interesting. How do you say no plans to merge in Japanese?
Oh, I don't know. So this is the thing. I mean, yeah, dude, I don't know. Like
You got to give it a shot. Piece it together.
Well, let me give context first. I forget. So I've been to Japan once since I was 17.
Okay.
And it was for 2 weeks. And I was like 24 or 25 when we did it. And I stepped off the plane. Have I told you this story? I stepped off the plane and someone put a camera in my face and started interviewing me.
What?
And he's interviewing me in English. And I'm like, I'm going to answer in Japanese and throw this guy off. Right? Because it'll be funny.
Yeah.
So then I started speaking in Japanese and then got halfway into the sentence and realized I couldn't speak Japanese. And was like, and so then I just looked like an idiot, right? Because this guy threw a camera in my face and was like, speak English to me, basically. You
That
know?
is so funny.
And I was like, I'm going to do a really bad job of speaking Japanese. But then it took like 2 weeks and I remembered a bunch of Japanese.
Okay.
And there was this thing that I unlocked. This is the weirdest thing about like remembering a language. There was like a one phrase that I couldn't like say.
Mm-hmm.
So like the guy asked me, he was like, "Oh, so you've lived in," so he said like, he said whatever. I said, "I used to live in Japan. Hi, what's up? I speak Japanese, blah, blah, all this stuff." So I said all that in Japanese well, right? And then he basically asked like, "How long has it been since you've been in Japan?" Right? And there's a way in Japan that you say like a period of time has elapsed, right? So like it's been 8 years,
Right.
You don't just say 8 years. You say something that basically translates to like an 8-year negative period,
Okay.
right? Like an 8-year absence or something.
Right.
And it's buri. So you say hachinen. Hachinen means 8 years.
Okay.
So you would say hachinen buri. And I knew that this thing existed and I couldn't come up with booty. And so when I couldn't get that out, like my entire ability to speak the language disappeared instantly.
The gig is up.
And
that's so funny.
it took me like 2 days to land on booty, like hachinen booty. And once I landed there, the whole language opened up to me again.
Oh, really?
It was so weird. It was like this mental block. And when I got over it.
Funny. It's crazy,
So
dude.
merge, I have no idea how to say merge.
What's like an equivalent though? Like let's
I
put
don't know.
something.
What is an
together.
equivalent? What's an equivalent to the word merge in English?
Combine.
I don't know, man. I can't think like
What
that.
about accept? Like I accept your gift. That sounds like a very like Japanese word. You gotta know it, Deke.
I don't know it.
Say booty again, and
Booty.
maybe it will unlock. No, but it's, okay. How do you say no?
No.
Yeah,
Well, like in what context?
in the context of no plans to
Well,
merge.
you don't say it. That's what I'm saying. It's not a word that you would say in that context. You would just
Okay.
negate the word plans,
Oh,
right? Because no
All
plans
right.
to merge isn't a sentence.
yeah. Right. So okay, so I mean, like, I don't plan on merging. You
Yeah.
don't. I'll take the
Well,
pressure
the
off.
problem is I don't
But-
know. I don't know the words for plan or merge, so this is gonna
Right.
be it's gonna be an issue. But I could say that I don't have.
Well, I don't want to merge. Like I don't want to X.
Yeah, so I could say I don't want to X. Yeah. So whatever, like, X, wa or ol. The article depends on what noun it is. Yari takunai, right? Or yari takemasen would be the more polite way to say it.
Sounds great, Daniel. Music to my ears.
But that just means like I don't want to do something.
yeah.
I don't know what merge is.
Okay.
My mom will tell us.
Okay. Does she still listen to the show?
Who knows? Probably. I mean, I hope so. She got an Instagram shout out.
She did. It's a big deal.
Big deal.
This is very interesting, Daniel. You grew up in Japan. You had Japanese friends. I don't know. Like maybe here's a question. What would be one of the biggest? I don't know. What's the biggest pro of growing up in Japan versus the U.S.? Because you kind of half grew up in both. So
Yeah, I would say just not inheriting the like American supremacy that comes of being an American, right?
Yeah.
Like not just sort of taking as written that like America is somehow like a better or more civilized country than other places in the world.
Sure.
And getting exposure because like I think that Tokyo arguably is like the most like put together place in the world as far as like everyone makes like there's a lot of money being made. It's like a high production big city, right? And if you compare it, it's like 3 times bigger than New York, right? And if you compare it to New York is a complete shithole.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I think New York is a shithole relative to Buffalo. Like,
Right, but that's what I'm saying is like there are like America doesn't have the ability to have a large city that's not a shithole.
yeah, right.
Every large city in America is a shithole,
Yeah,
right? And it's like the everything's dirty. There's like trash on the street.
yeah. Chicago, I haven't been there a ton, but
Well, parts of
seems like
Chicago,
an alright
right?
city. But yeah, for sure.
But
Yeah.
like, there Tokyo is like a clean, safe, put together
Gotcha.
city.
Yep.
The trains, like, it has the best public transportation in the entire world. You can get anywhere on the train for very
Cool.
cheap. It's amazing. It's just
Nice.
like if you were planning like a city that was like good to live in, you would just
Yeah.
make Tokyo, right?
Yeah.
And so it's sort of once you realize that like other people in the world are just like better at doing a lot of stuff than America is,
Yeah.
then like a lot of I think the assumptions that you make being in America that like we have some sort of like secret knowledge that we need to share with the world, and like
Right.
like we need to like get more people onto our side and save people from themselves and make them see things the way that we do is like kind of laughable, because it's like, oh dude, America's bad at everything.
You got if you got it out for America there, Deke.
Well, I'm just saying, no, I want the best for America. I want it to be better.
Better than everyone else? That's
No,
a
better
very
than
American
itself.
thing to say.
I'm trying to push it to reach a new PR.
Daniel. No
No plans to
I was
merge,
saying no
yeah.
plans to merge. What the hell does that come from? Japan. Perks living in Japan. Practical perk. Tangible.
Tangible
Give me
perk.
one that's like, being a kid in Japan, like when you would flip flop, you'd be like, oh, in Japan.
Well, I mean, so there's a lot of just being able to go places on the subway is amazing, right? Like, Japan is not a place, or Tokyo specifically, like as big cities go, like I would not feel comfortable sending like an 8-year-old kid to ride the train for an hour to school in New York.
Yeah.
But I rode this train for an hour to school in Tokyo. And it wasn't in Tokyo, it was like outside Tokyo. But still, like I rode like crowded trains with lots and lots of people every day. And I just I went to the place, I bought a ticket, I got on the train, I went to school, I got off the train, I went to school, And like it's safe. Like your kid is not going to get abducted. Your house is not going to get broken into.
Yep.
You're not going to get robbed.
Cool.
It's just a safe place, right? Which means that as a kid, you can just go be free in the world and not have to worry about all the things you have to worry about in America.
Yeah.
Of like, is my kid going to get abducted or whatever,
Right.
right? Which you could argue how much you actually have to worry about that, and whether people worry too much about it. But
Yeah.
but yeah, like I, from the time I was 8, basically was like out on my own, navigating the world and using public transit and doing everything sort of unsupervised.
Word. That's really cool. And that's not, I mean, I guess I didn't expect something different, but it is definitely news to me
Yeah.
that it is that way.
And I mean, I think it's still that way. I don't know. I mean, this is the 90s,
Right.
early 2000s, but yeah.
So I'm going to ask you some cliche questions here, like, because I really want to know, as somebody who really likes bonsai, how is it different in Japan? Is it more like integrated into the culture?
I
Like,
mean,
do you see bonsai
maybe
at,
it's more
like-
integrated into the culture in that, like, you might go to like how if you go to like an have you been to the Atlanta airport?
At some point, yeah, definitely I have. I don't know if
a
I
lot of
remember.
airports, like they'll have like these long moving walkways between terminals underground, right? And you
Yep.
take them, and sort of along the walls of the moving walkway, there will be some random art exhibit, right?
Yep.
And it'll be like, street art from Atlanta, and it'll be like a
Sure.
bunch of photos of street art in Atlanta. And it'll be like, while you're on this walkway, you may as well look at this art,
Okay, yep.
from like local artists.
Right.
In Japan, the chances of that local art being bonsai are higher.
Okay. So that's so okay.
You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's not like, like you have a higher chance of randomly running into someone who is a bonsai person in Japan.
Okay.
But like, I didn't know anybody who did bonsai.
Okay. And martial arts aren't very big there.
Martial arts are huge.
Okay.
I knew
Way
lots of
way
people who
bigger
did
there
martial arts.
than they are here.
I did judo.
Okay.
Yeah, way more. Well, I don't know now. Now that UFC is popular, everyone's doing fucking jujitsu. You
Yeah.
know, but back before UFC, when it was just like everyone was doing like weird mall karate.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I would say Japan, it was much bigger in martial arts.
That's really funny. Super quick story. It's not a great story, so I'm going to keep it quick. There's a guy who lives down the street from my parents. So where I grew up, his name is Pat, and he's a real interesting guy. Gruff, but like friendly, but like not weird. He walks his dog all day. He hunts. He kind of like lives to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
He complains about his wife who like can't walk anymore because she's like so unhealthy. And we actually went into business one time, like with driftwood, because he would collect like mounds and mounds of Lake Erie driftwood. Just
Okay.
walk the beach because we lived. I mean, you could like spit to the beach, and pile it up, and I would sell it on eBay until that got shut down because you can't really sell like wood on eBay. But Daniel, this guy, last year I caught a bunch of steelhead. I came home, whatever. I ended up talking to him for a while, long enough that my car dies. That has nothing to do with the story, but it was
We
just
talked
like
about it on the episode when it happened.
right. This guy. So tell me if this. I probably didn't tell you this part, but we're just talking, and there's a place called Red Dragon. That's where everybody like did karate in or taekwondo, I think, in the mall, and so I've been there 100 times to get like knives because there's the knife, like counter.
Knife store. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can buy like butterfly knives
Hell
and
yeah.
like all sorts of cool stuff. And there's a bonsai exhibit. I went to like a bonsai class or whatever. And he's like, we're talking about pandemic related things. And he's just like complaining about his brother who's never going to be able to bounce back and who's just like so stuck in his ways selling knives. And I'm like, who's your brother? He's like, oh, it's whatever, Ray from Red Dragon. I'm like, no way. This guy's a legend and totally puts out the vibe that he's not Japanese, but you think he's something, but he's Pat Gott's brother. Like this guy like grew up in the boons. Like it doesn't get less less Asian than this guy.
Right.
So
it's like
funny.
the guy in Napoleon Dynamite. Like, Bounty
Yes,
Sensei.
Rex Kwon Do.
Rex Kwon Do, yeah.
It is Rex Kwon Do. So anyway, that was a tangent. But so martial arts were huge in Japan growing up. That's interesting. And you did
Not
judo?
huge, but like there was like we did them in school once
Okay.
for PE
cool.
and like
Okay.
I took judo classes.
What about like Buddhism, like Zen Buddhism?
Yeah, so Japan has two state religions. So Buddhism and Shinto. Shinto is like a older, specifically Japanese religion.
Okay.
That is about like the spirits in nature. And so they'll build a temple on a big mountain, or they'll build a temple near a really old tree
Okay.
and be like, this temple is about the spirit of this tree that's 1,500 years old. And whatever. Actually, funny story. When I was a kid, this actually ties in nicely. When I was a kid, my friend Mark got like a bow and arrow from his brother, he had like a much older brother, right?
Okay.
And he got like a bow and some arrows, and it was like the first time we'd ever had a bow that wasn't like a rinky-dink kid's bow.
Sure.
It was like a recurve bow that
Yeah.
worked,
Yep.
And so we were like, let's run around and shoot this bow, We were probably 13 or something. We accidentally shot the bow into the 1,500-year-old god tree.
Oh my god.
And
And the spirit let out a shit.
the priest of the temple came out and fucking screamed at us and was super mad and took our arrow.
The ascetic like monk like lost his shit.
He was not happy. He was really mad. He was like, dude, my whole life, like I could have been doing anything else, but instead I became a monk to sit in this temple and think about this tree, this one tree that's been here longer than generations of your family, and you just came out here and just shot an arrow into it because you got a bow and arrow.
Oh, that's great. I mean, like I imagine the reality of things there. What I picture is like Kung Fu Panda level stuff, like Mr. Miyagi, a lot of that kind of thing, Last Samurai, picturing a lot of that type of temple monk behavior.
I mean, there are
But
temples and monks all over the place.
okay, and I'm wondering like how much is it like if you know your everyday average church here, you might have a pastor with like with like a short sleeve button down come out and yell at you about like hurting a tree.
Yeah.
Like I know it's different, but
It's
I
more
wonder.
common that they wear the uniform there,
Okay.
the monks.
Okay.
So like, it'd be more like seeing a guy like on the train with like a priest collar.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Cool. Yeah, right.
But like there, the uniform is more like a big hat and like robe type.
That is
things.
so dope. You might
Yeah.
just see one of those guys.
Yeah, I took a picture of one. I have this old Flickr account which still exists, which we can find and tweet about or something. But
Yeah.
of pictures I took when I was like a sophomore in high school or whatever. I was just into like street photography and taking pictures in Japan. And I took a picture of this guy who was just like, they just kind of go out there and they'll hold like a rice bowl. These guys who've taken vows of poverty.
Yeah.
And so they'll just kind of stand there with a rice bowl out and their eyes closed, meditating, and like people just kind of put coins in the rice bowl.
I'm picturing more of like what's going on inside that guy's head. Like like he's meditate, like he puts on the show.
Biggest
But like
meditating.
you drop like some
He's like, that
serious
sounded like a heavy
in there.
coin. Yeah.
Yeah, he's pumped.
Well, and in
if you,
Japan, the
like,
biggest
drop a
coin is
penny,
500
it'll be-
yen, which is like $5.
Okay.
So like, and they're
So you
much
could get
bigger
some
and heavier
serious-
than the other coins. So
Yeah,
like, you could probably
it's just
tell.
sitting there like, what do we get? What do we get? What do we get? Big money, big money, big money. No whammy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know that.
You know.
Right. Okay. So that's fascinating to me. And so like how exposed were you to these religions being a like Christian missionary?
Not that much.
Okay.
And that's like, I kind of regret it because like I've taken an interest in Buddhism
right.
after living in Japan.
That's crazy, dude.
You know?
Yep. Were they big into Alan Watts? Did he bring Buddhism to Japan as well? Everybody's reading Alan Watts. That's great. So the question on everybody's mind, Daniel, is how many times did you go to Tokyo Disneyland?
Probably like at least 6 or 7,
Okay, solid amount.
I'd say.
And did
yeah.
they have E's when you were there?
Did they have what?
The C's?
Disney Sea?
Disney Sea.
Yeah, I went to Disney Sea.
Okay.
Probably 3 or 4 times.
People say
So
it's
when
the
I
best
say-
Disney
when I
park
say-
of all parks.
When I say how many times I go to Tokyo Disneyland, I'm combining Disneyland and Disney Sea
yeah, I figured.
as like, because they're
I didn't
different
even- yeah.
tickets. You go to different.
Oh, really?
They're
Okay.
different parks.
Okay.
So like you can get a ticket that like gets you into both, but like we would always just get like day tickets because we lived right
Okay.
down the train line.
Right.
So we would pick which one we were going to go to, and
Yep.
generally people wanted to go to Disney Sea because it was better.
I've heard from from my sources that Disney Sea is like the greatest Disneyland or Disney park of all.
Yeah, I don't know. I've only been to Disneyland and Disney Sea in Tokyo.
Is it
they're
dope,
both
or
pretty
is it-
good. Disney Sea just was newer,
Okay.
and so it was like, let's go to the newer one.
Gotcha. Word.
But they got all this stuff. They got Space Mountain, Splash Mountain.
How is it treated there? Like
Disneyland?
not being in America, like it being like a dose of American culture.
Japanese people are obsessive about their cultural things. And so if you are into Disney in Japan, it is a level that you
Yeah.
like. Your wife is like into Disney,
Right.
but these people are into Disney in a way that you just cannot comprehend.
Right. Okay. I kind of get that vibe from what I understand. So Hannah is like extremely interested in Tokyo Disneyland.
Yeah.
Extreme.
So I mean, I rode the trains, right? And I
Okay.
rode the trains 2 stops away from Tokyo Disneyland on
Yeah.
the train line, the only train line that goes to Tokyo Disneyland.
Yeah.
Right. So it was incredibly common for people on the trains with me to have just come from Tokyo Disneyland or be on their way to Tokyo Disneyland.
Right. Okay.
And they dress up and
yeah. Okay.
they will have you know, like it's not at all uncommon to see like a girl who's dressed as, I don't know, who's a big Disney character that someone would dress as. Like it wouldn't be at all uncommon for someone to be dressed as Snow White and have
Oh, sure.
stuffed versions of all of the seven dwarves
Oh, wow.
on the train with them.
Gotcha.
Like sitting on the train seat next to them are
Yeah.
like all seven dwarves in a stuffed thing,
yeah.
you know? And they're definitely going to Disney right now or just came from there. But it's like, you get the sense that they do this like once a week.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, it's Saturday. Time for me to dress up as a Disney princess and like create an ensemble out of stuffed things and go be at Disney to be seen doing this.
Right. I'm very interested in how much more materialistic they are. Like from what I understand, Tokyo Disneyland, they're really, really, really into popcorn. Like it's
Yeah.
like
I
very
think
there's like
popcorn's not
here
that
you
common.
get like one type of popcorn,
Yeah.
but there's many, many types of popcorn. And that they're super into merchandise,
No,
packaging.
huge
Like
into all of that.
everything is into package, like all the kind of stuff that we just have like throwaway packaging here, like a hot dog or something.
Yeah.
There apparently comes in like a box that's like adorned with whatever. I don't know. Like,
I can't picture the packaging for a hot dog right now, but
so this is true.
they do have
You can
nicer
confirm?
packaging in Japan than they do here.
Okay. And but like they're much more into like merchandise and
Yeah,
like
yeah. I
small
mean,
cute figurines and
Oh, that type of yeah,
plush
exactly.
toys
All
and-
of that, tons of that. Like it's
Okay.
totally normal to see someone coming back from Disneyland with enormous bags full of plush toys that they've bought.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So did this like I envision your childhood like being a missionary's kid and like being not extremely materialistic in the sense like I don't really picture you coming back from places with bags of plush toys.
Yeah, no, and this is the thing is like this is part of the reason I'm not into anime. It's like I never got that sort of whatever the bug is of Japanese obsession
Yeah.
about cultural things.
Yeah.
And I was just into different things. Like I was into RuneScape, you know,
Represent, bro.
instead of being into whatever else.
Yep.
Speaking
Right,
of
like if
which,
they had,
I
like,
am
they
still
had, like,
into
party
RuneScape.
hats. Really?
Oh yeah, dude. I
Old
just
school
got
RuneScape?
I just got the Karamja Hard Diaries completed.
I don't even know what that is.
You know
Where is-
Karamja, right?
Where is that? What's
Karamja's like the island, the sort of tropical island place.
is that where you catch swordfish off the little dock?
Yeah.
It's members only.
Yeah, it's
Right.
members only.
Yeah, I was only a member for a short time, and I
Word.
do remember Karamja because I went there to catch swordfish and
I
lobster.
just got the Hard Diaries completed, which is something
know.
I like to like set arbitrary goals for myself that are like not actually useful.
Yep.
Maybe like the Karamja Hard Diary was a really fun one because it took so much work to get there, but like I finally got there.
Dude, you're nuts, man. I would love to get back into RuneScape, but I just can't imagine doing it. Like, I can't imagine all the grinding and feeling like it's worth my time now.
Well, it's like you got to be like you're going to be sitting in front of your TV at some point with your wife just chilling on the couch, right?
For sure.
You can play RuneScape while you're doing that. And that's when I play RuneScape. Is mostly like when we're just kind of like it's the weekend, we're sitting on the couch watching a movie, and I'm
On a
also playing
laptop?
RuneScape. Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. I do have, I have like it's now like my neck is so bad. I never do that. I can't basically like go on a laptop unless,
that's true.
know.
Yeah.
but I lay off my bed so that like almost like you're on a massage chair table
With
but, like,
your
my
chin
is,
kinda
like,
propped
dug
up.
in. Yeah, so that I can. That's how I played all of Crash Bandicoot because like it doesn't mess with your neck. It's
Oh,
just,
interesting.
like, neutral neck. I want to get like not. This is my. If I haven't talked about this, the head part of a massage table, but just that part, and it's adjustable, so you can lay off a bed or a chaise lounge, and bump up this thing, and then have your head totally supported, and then program.
That's cool. Caleb, have you been to doctors about your neck?
Yes, yeah.
Is-
I've had like MRIs and stuff.
What's the situation?
It's crooked. I landed on my head doing a backflip twice, and I smashed my face snowboarding and got knocked out. And I'm guessing those are the causes, but yeah, like the top of my spine is like this. So
Do you have like fused discs or something? Like
I have a bulging disc or something, not a herniated disc, but a bulging disc. So there is like it's not like a great spot, and my spine is straight instead of being curved like most people's. It's like straight there, so it's straight. So the discs are too close, and I don't know. I tweak my neck constantly. It's like
Is
you're
there a
probably watching me and I'm
possibility
always
for
doing
like
this.
surgery to fix it? Because this sounds like something that like massively impacts your life.
It's really funny because it actually does affect my life in every way all the time.
Yeah.
Like constantly. I
And
didn't
that's the
drive
thing
back from Florida because I can't drive.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like I kind of like forget that you have like massive neck problems, and then you'll like sort of casually bring it up in the same way that like people forget that I like have massive sleep problems until I casually bring it up, right? And people are like, "Is there something you can do about that?" And I'm like, "Probably, maybe, but
there's a degree of that." Yeah,
I've tried
like,
stuff, and like,
it's
what
funny.
am I gonna do? I got it now.
I've spent a bunch of money. I've gone to doctors, I've gone to chiropractors, physical therapists, and it's always kind of the same thing. You go when you have a problem, and then whether you go or not to fix the problem, it'll fix itself. You know, like you'll get better.
Yeah, it'll get better than it is right now. Yeah,
and they'll be like, and they'll tell you the same stuff, like posture and all the stretches, and it's like, oh, why am I going to go spend more money if I can just do these things myself? And then you get lazy, and then you tweak your neck, and then you go, I got to do those things, and whatever. I would love a real fix, but I have zero hope for that. That would be great though. But like neck open, like spine neck surgery or something like that.
Well, aren't there fixes for bulging discs and stuff? Like,
it's not like like there's fixes for like herniated discs and slipped discs, but even that, I mean, like people who have back surgery, like they only do back surgery when you're like
when you really need it.
When you're going to be like paralyzed.
Yeah.
You know? It's not something they like do for people. So, but no, yeah.
Well,
but programming is like pretty bad for it, and I do a lot of that. So that's why
sitting's the new smoking, as they say.
Got to stand, man. But then you stand, and then you've seen my like treat
lock up
stupid stuff, and then my knees hurt and whatnot. I'm an old man. So enjoy it. Enjoy your RuneScape on the couch, Daniel.
Yeah,
dude, I would be so much more productive if I could sit. For real. Imagine having to stand all the time.
Yeah. Sounds rough.
Me.
You're really productive though. I can sit and I'm nowhere near as productive as you are.
Nope. Maybe, but like when I sit, like sometimes this is what I do. I don't sit, so I treat myself to laying on the bed with a pillow under my head, sideways, and programming sideways. I actually do that like once a day for like probably.
So do you tilt the laptop on its side?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And it's pretty neutral on the neck. And when you can just turn your body off and then turn your brain on, and that's what you do when you sit. You know, it's awesome. Anyway.
Caleb.
So great, Daniel. This has been Daniel grew up in Japan.
Yeah. One of these days we're going to do an episode where we talk about programming some.
Right. Is there anything else that we need to tell the listener having grew up in Japan?
So I've considered moving back to Japan.
Really?
I don't think, basically the only way that it would work for me is if I didn't have to have a job with a Japanese company, right? Because the work culture in Japan is very hardcore, and programmers really don't get paid very well in Japan. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, programmer gets paid 50 G's a year or something, or 60 G's a year or something, but like also works 60, 70 hour weeks. And it's like, yeah, that's not it for me, dude.
Yeah.
But like living in Japan would be great. You know, I'd love to go like live in Japan for a couple of years. But you know, it's complicated. But now I'm self-employed, so things are more possible.
Right. Interesting. So Japan, let me throw out a little stereotype here with Asians and math. And in my school, the like Asian students were extremely good at math, and their parents like ran the local like Chinese restaurants, and they were just like ridiculously smart. Probably just rigorous,
there's a lot of pressure in Japanese society. It's very much a like get into the right school so you can get into the right school so you can get into the right school type of situation.
Gotcha.
So when you're in fourth grade, you start going to like prep school after school
Oh yeah,
so that you can prepare for the entrance exam to middle school.
dude.
And when you're in middle school, you're going to prepare for the entrance exam to high school. And when you're in high school, you're going to prepare for the entrance exam to college. Many high school kids, and this is why I didn't have a lot of Japanese friends in high school, like I didn't do any of that stuff. Right? And
You were dumb as a rock.
my friends all did.
Yeah.
And so like I sort of lost touch with a bunch of my like Japanese friends. I had a lot of half Japanese friends.
Okay.
But I lost touch with a lot of my Japanese friends because like we just couldn't hang out because there was like
That's crazy.
like especially when I was in high school, like when I was in like 10th and 11th grade, like my friends would be at these secondary schools after school until 11 p.m. or something.
That is so
and
crazy.
then ride the train home and then wake up at 7 to go to school again. Like, and they'd be there like 4 or 5 days a week. Like it was crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah. And I mean, and then that sort of like death march thing just kind of becomes the accepted pattern.
Yeah.
And then you just carry that on into the working world. And that is the work culture of Japan too. Luckily, Japan kind of had like a little bit of an economic downturn. Not luckily, but like in response to that, more American managerial styles have sort of entered in a little bit. And so there are more sort of startups where people
ping
are
pong tables.
encouraged to work like a 40-hour work week.
Right,
And
okay.
people are encouraged. So like there's a thing in Japan, which is that you don't leave the office until your boss has left the office.
Yeah.
So you get in, you stay until he leaves, and he stays until his boss leaves, you know? And so this leads to this thing where like people who don't have anything to do are sitting around the office trying to look busy until 10, and then you have to go out with your boss for drinks after work.
Yeah.
Which like as a person who doesn't drink, I've now thought about like what would it be like to like, because Japanese culture is very like you go out for drinks after work.
Really?
I'm like, I wonder what it would be like as a sober person to be like, no thanks guys. Like,
Right.
because there's a lot of pressure to like conform and stuff in Japan. So yeah, I think working in a Japanese corporate environment would be very hard. But there are more sort of like startups and like even like established tech companies are now starting like teams within them that are like run in a more like American tech company managerial style.
Okay.
Because they realize that burned out people don't write good code.
Yeah. Interesting. That's pretty crazy. I mean, that's definitely matches more of my perception of Japanese rigorous work ethic and
It's
all
hardcore.
that. Yeah, it's crazy. Here in America, we're just like I'm thinking of a few phrases. We're just playing around.
Yeah. Yeah, man. But, you know, there's pros and cons, right? You don't get like spotless subways without a sort of like tyrannical managerial system in the subway janitor company.
Yeah.
Right. But you also don't get like Japan also has like the highest suicide rate in the world, you know?
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like there's definite problems there, you know?
Gotcha.
But yeah, I don't know.
Cool. So Deke, what time are we at here?
Oh, we've been here for an hour and a half, dude, talking about Japan. But this is good. This is a service to your wife.
Oh no, she's gonna eat this up.
Yeah, dude, Caleb, when are we? We should all go to Japan when COVID's over.
Yeah, she was just looking at flights and like, I mean, we can't book anything right now, but you know, we're starting with like, I've amassed a bunch of points so that I can.
I'm also sitting on like a backlog of points.
Nice. So my goal is to fly to Japan laying down, because one, it would be fun, but also the old neck. So like that's what we're kind of aiming for. But we're trying. We'd love to go like next May.
That sounds dope.
And
dude.
it would
Let's
be
do it.
dope to have a Japanese guide. Come on,
dude. And we could like go.
oh, it'd be so tight.
It'd be so fun if we all went.
It would be so much fun.
We would
be
have
so
a blast.
and I feel like this, especially if I had you,
Mm-hmm.
Japan doesn't have to be a huge trip. Like without you, I'm like going to a foreign country that's not even like European, whatever. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
very, whatever. But with you, man, it's like all it is carving out like week and a half.
So I
Use
would not want to go to
dope
Japan.
flight and
So the one thing that you're not considering is the jet lag is
oh,
intense. It's the exact opposite. It's 100% the opposite schedule.
oh,
So
really?
you're gonna lose like 2 or 3 days on
Just
the front
sleeping.
well, not just sleeping, but it's
Well,
like you're not gonna be in a good, fun spot to go do stuff. So you're gonna be
yeah,
tired. So
yeah,
you're gonna be
yeah.
less productive. You're not gonna want to do as many things, right?
Right, yeah.
And generally, I think being in Japan is way more fun when you do like one thing a day, and beyond that, you just kind of like vibe around,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I would say we went for 2 weeks last time. I don't think I want to go for less than 3 weeks next time I go.
Gotcha.
But like going for 3 weeks, I think is ideal, right? Because it's like short enough that
Wow.
like you get home.
Long time, bro.
But yeah, but it's like it's such a different culture.
But you have your
Like
parents to stay with.
that's
Would you
true.
stay with your
That's true.
parents?
We didn't stay with our parents last time, but we stayed like near them.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
And the
like,
problem with us
Airbnb.
traveling together is like we're staying with your parents, so then it's gonna be awkward. Like who's gonna get to stay with your parents?
No, I
You
think
know?
it'll be fun if you guys get to stay with our parents. But yeah, anyway, it'd be cool if we went to Japan.
It would be cool.
We'd have a blast.
Agreed.
I bet we
Agreed.
could fish too. It'd be cool. I bet
Dude.
there's like special
Oh.
Japanese fishing gear.
Come on.
There's
Fish for
always there's
koi.
special Japanese gear for everything.
I mean, guaranteed. I could totally see it. I mean, one of my dreams is to sit by a tree with a pipe and a bamboo rod
Yeah, that's totally doable.
and just
You know, I got
being
bamboo
like
growing in
water.
my backyard right now. You can have some bamboo.
You have bamboo, common bamboo,
Yeah, it's growing out in my backyard.
dude. Good for you.
Not
That
good
stuff's
for
so
me.
cool.
It's gonna destroy my yard.
Sure.
But
Definitely. Yep. Bamboo's legit though.
it is legit.
It's a cool plant.
It's
I like
a really
it.
cool plant. Yeah.
Super tall.
Oh, that's another
Tall
thing.
and thin. Like you.
Yeah. That's another thing in Japan.
You
is
and the
like,
bamboo plant.
there are a lot of
many
places that in America, you know those like fences that they put up around construction sites that have like that black
orange
canvas cloth stretched
Oh,
over them.
I absolutely know. Yes.
So those in Japan, it's very
almost like a wood
common for those
barrier.
to just be bamboo fences that are like kind of quickly thrown together.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if they need to like throw up like a quick temporary fence in Japan, it's
It's
pretty
just
common
like-
for it to just be like some bamboo lashed together.
Oh my gosh, dude, that's so hardcore.
Yeah.
Like that's what you get when you go to Bahama Breeze for dinner in America.
Yeah, but,
But,
in Japan it's just like, well, this
Japan,
bamboo
it's
is
just your
everywhere. Let's cut it down and
cheap
use
and
it
everywhere.
use it for stuff.
It's dope, dude.
Yeah.
Japan, man.
What
I mean,
an
I would
episode.
really love to go and drink some tea in Japan as well.
Oh, that's
and, like,
definitely doable.
really get into the tea scene.
Yeah.
I would love to like climb a really long stone staircase with
Mm-hmm.
a tea house at the top, and
That's
I'd be really
absolutely
into that.
achievable.
So, tea in Japan. Have you ever like sat
Done the tea ceremony?
cross leg? Yeah.
Yeah, I've done it once or twice.
Cool.
It's cool. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
I've never done it, to be fair. I've done it in like situations where it's like we knew someone who did them, and so they like did one for us,
Okay.
right? Like in our house or like at my
Yeah.
school or something. But we've never like gone to the tea house and like done it. I think my parents probably have, but I haven't. So I bet the environment makes it a lot cooler.
I mean, oh yeah.
I mean-
doing like a fluorescent lit like
Yeah,
like
yeah,
bingo hall,
yeah.
doing a tea ceremony. Do they have bingo in Japan?
I don't know. Probably not.
Word. Do they have that game that they have in Crazy Rich Asians? What's that popular
Mahjong?
game? Yeah, Mahjong.
That's a Chinese thing. I think they do have it in
Gotcha.
Japan, but
Okay.
the big like gambling thing in Japan is pachinko,
Pachinko.
which is like
All right.
it's kind of like slots mixed with pinball, I guess.
Fun.
Yeah. So like it's like a slot machine full of like quarter inch steel ball bearings,
Okay.
right? And you like put your money in and you like kind of pull the plunger or whatever.
Yeah.
And like you have a little twisty knob that you can kind of use to exert some control over it.
Yep.
But like 1,000 ball bearings like fall down this little like pegboard machine.
Mm-hmm.
And your goal is to have the most of them come out of the machine and into your bucket as possible, right? And then you can kind of like recycle them back through
Interesting.
the system. And like if they go into certain holes, you get multipliers and like all this other stuff. And so it's like slots mixed with pinball. But then at the end, you like cash out your bucket of steel ball bearings for money.
No way.
Yeah.
Pachinko?
Pachinko. Pachinko.
Pachinko.
But when I was a kid, I could never go into the parlors because I was too young. So when we were there last, it was the first time I've been in Japan as an adult, and we like went into a pachinko parlor just to see what the vibe was.
Yeah.
Because they're everywhere. And we went in, and it like really like you can smoke in them, so it's just like a fluorescent lit room that smells like cigarettes, really hardcore.
Crazy. I mean, that's nuts, dude. It looks like these balls look like. Remember that game that there's like two sides of this game thing with like a red gun attached to the board, and you put these like
Hungry
bearings.
Hippos or something.
Kind of, but you like shoot them at a thing in the middle, I think, like a twist or a like whatever. You didn't live in the US, you don't know things. That's very interesting, Daniel. Did you eat a lot of pokey sticks?
Those exist. Yeah, you can get them. They're good. Dude, I'm going to the Asian grocery store as soon as we're done this. I hope they're still open because
there is a.
This has made me want snacks.
Can you filibuster this podcast while I go grab an Asian candy that we adore and got at the Japanese market?
Yep, happy to do it.
Okay.
So yeah, my favorite Asian candies, and I'm actually just gonna share my screen on YouTube so that the listening audience can see this. All right, these are the mini four-wheel drives, by the way. But here is what you want. So you want to go on Amazon. You want to go to search for Kaki no Tane.
You gotta.
This is what you want. You want to eat these. These are amazing. Get you some Kaki no Tane and get you some puree Japanese.
How do you spell this, Daniel?
It's on the YouTube video, but it's Kaki Kaki no No Tane Tane.
Gotcha. Cake no tang. Kaki no tang. So this is what's up.
That's my favorite snack, and I'm about to buy some.
Really? So, Deagle, have you ever had? I don't know if this is. It's Chinese, but I got it at the Japanese market.
Creamy candy.
You ever have these things? White rabbit?
I don't know what that is. No.
Oh my gosh, dude, they'll change your life.
But we have something. There's something in Japan called Milky.
Okay.
Search Milky candy. It's very similar.
And this is like wrapped in rice paper.
It's wrapped in rice paper. It's kind of like chewy, like a toffee, but it's milk.
Poke-chan? Milky. Okay, I got it. It's called Milky. Word.
Anyway, get you some.
Oh yeah. Okay, dude, this looks. I mean, if you search Milky candy, a bag of White Rabbit comes up.
Okay, so they're probably really similar.
It's like the greatest.
Is it like a toffee type thing, but milk-ish?
Sort of, yes. Yeah, less butterscotchy than toffee. It's milky.
No, but I mean like texturally. It's kind of like a
a
now and later texture, but
yes.
Yeah.
Yep. But not as frustrating as a now and later. Doesn't make you feel like your teeth are gonna fall out.
Now and laters are dangerous.
They are.
I wonder how many thousands of dollars of dental work has been done by someone like ripping a filling out with a now and later.
What were they thinking when they made those? Like they just kept pushing the envelope. Like, we'll try Laffy Taffy. We'll see.
Yeah, okay. Skittles. That's like a little bit more hardcore.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what if we do one that's like a brick of sucrose condensed into like, oh my gosh.
And
what
like,
if we make a candy that feels hard until you let it sit in your teeth for a few seconds, and then it'll fuse to your fillings.
Well, no, so then it feels soft enough that you might be able to actually bite it, and then you
Right,
bite it,
maybe.
and then it hardens up as soon as it comes into contact with your fillings, and then rips them
Right.
out of your head. Yeah,
Yeah, and then you try to pull your jaw apart.
yeah.
And
Whoopsie daisy, there goes my tooth. Just
Yeah,
spent
dude,
$3,000 on that.
those are nuts. Who ever thought about a now and later? I was with, at our church growing up, they had like a Halloween alternative to trick or treating, because and so we took our neighbor, and he had braces, and he had a now and later, and I don't know. I just remember it being like this huge fiasco. Like he'd been in the now and later, and like I don't know if his braces came off or something. It was a huge thing. Like we had to like rush him home.
He probably ripped a brace off of his tooth or something.
I mean, imagine getting a now and later caked on a brace.
Caleb, we gotta go.
Okay.
But before we go, we have one question straight from the chat, and I want to see if this is a real question that you can answer.
Okay.
Elliot Champeau says, "Hey guys, live coding with a friend at the moment. We ran into a bit of a pickle. How would you test for wire model defer when property is updated in the render method?" Mr. Caleb Porzio.
Are you making me answer? Are you making me do live wire support live on Nova?
I'm making you do it live on Nova
Why?
Storage. Does this make sense as a question? How would you test for wire model defer when the property is updated in the render method, Mr. Caleb Forzio? I don't know what that means.
Dude, I don't know either.
Yeah, we don't know what that means, Elliot. Sorry, bud.
That's funny. I fully accept your questions, and I'm not trying to be a dick at all.
Yeah.
But I do get a good giggle inside when like when I'm like publicly available for Q&A on something like just casual, chilling, whatever, like high level, and somebody's like, "Hey, would you mind what? It's like the equivalent of having a doctor friend, where you're like, "Hey, would you mind taking a look at
look at this mole
and
on
you just
my
like
inner
lift
thigh?
up,
Yeah.
like there's this flap that shouldn't be here, this nodule. Do you think you could remove this?" It's basically that equivalent.
Yeah.
People are like, "Hey, well, I got you. On line 37 of on line 3037. Oh, I'm getting this obscure error. Would you mind taking a look?" Funny. I really didn't mean to shit on whoever asked that. I'm not shitting on you. Sorry.
No, it's cool.
So that's that. Do you mind cueing us out, bro?
Dude, let's cue that outro music now. Boom. That was good. I liked that.
Yeah.
That was a good episode.
We finally got to the bottom.
We didn't talk about Survivor.
Answer the question for the people.
Okay, people who are watching. So I suggested a couple of seasons. Who is someone still in the chat who was the Survivor person? So I'm sure I recommended 20. I'm sure I recommended 28. I'm sure I recommended 34. Those are like my kind of go-to seasons to recommend. I think that 31 is an incredible season. I think that 38 is a pretty good season. Winners at War, I think, is one of these seasons. That might be, I forget which one that is.
Send me your thing. Do you go?
Yeah, and
while
I'll
you're
send
answering the
Caleb.
question?
I'll send Caleb my thing.
I just realized we're live streaming and I'm in.
While I'm doing this. So yeah, there are a bunch of good seasons. If you tweet at me and tell me which ones you've watched, I will tell you which other ones I like. Where is the Finder window I just opened? There it is. Boom. Daniel. My name's Daniel. That's why my files are called Daniel. You know, the biggest upgrade I made to my recording setup is actually putting my name in the file that is my voice. Like having Audio Hijack correctly name the files.
Oh, nice. Yep. That's a good deal. Daniel.
All right, we're off the podcast. I'm going to vape loudly now because I've been like trying to be real quiet with it.
Just be yourself.
Dude, I stayed up so late last night and then I got like a couple hours of sleep and then I showed up here. I just like finally, I had this like inability to get like a roll going on this one task that I was working on. And so I just kept like putting it down and being like, I'll come back to it. And then I would come back to it and I just like couldn't get started. So then finally yesterday at like 11, I like got a roll, and I was like, all right, well, I'm riding this
Nice.
till the wheels fall off.
Yep. I've been so good. So like my behavior before we left for Florida was very much like stay up forever. Hannah goes to bed at like increasingly earlier hours, and I'd go to bed at increasingly later hours, and we're off by like 6 or 7 hours.
Yep.
And eating garbage into the wee hours, like,
Yep.
you know, not a great scene. You're very familiar with this condition. And so we went to Florida, and something just flipped, and I became like good boy Caleb, Daniel, Japan Daniel. And I started like going to bed at the same time at a reasonable hour, putting the screen down after like 6 p.m. and not touching it until the morning. It was great. And I like did it for the entire trip. Got back here, started doing it, and then last night was the struggle. I'm laying in bed. It's like 10:30, 11, and I'm just like, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't even fantasize about it. Just lay here and suffer until you drift off. Sure enough, I got up, but I did some really good work.
Dude, sometimes you catch a roll at 11 p.m. and like, what are you going to not ride that roll?
No, I'm not
Yeah.
going to not.
So yeah, I solved the margin calculator last night.
Good for you, bro.
Yeah, it was fun. You know, I haven't written Vue in forever. I'm writing Vue.
What is Vue again?
It's like this JavaScript framework. It's kind of like Alpine.
Gotcha. It's like, right.
It's like
Similar to
Alpine, but like it does Ajax requests, which is a feature that Alpine hasn't added yet.
Gotcha. Vue doesn't have a system for Ajax requests, does it?
No.
Okay.
But yeah, it's cool. I'm kind of enjoying writing Vue, although I had to like, there's some Vuex in there. And it was like, ugh.
Get that out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan Cole. Thank you, whoever pointed out that the Laravel or the Livewire podcast thing is not working. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Oh man, dude, what's wrong with this? How do you even debug things?
You have Bugsnag?
I have Flare. Let's go into Flare. I have Flare, and I think whatever. Oh, that's not.
While
Flare.
we're here, I'm gonna see when the Asheville Asian Market New Leicester Highway. I'm gonna see when this place closes. $9 p.m. All right, cool. I got time. But I'm definitely going there.
Where are you going?
To the Asian supermarket.
Yeah.
Can't do the Japan episode and not go to the Asian supermarket.
Muzafar is living in Taiwan, which is part of Japan. Older people here still speak Japanese.
Wait, Taiwan is not part of Japan. What?
Part of Japan between 1895 and 1945.
Oh,
Kevin Badendorf lived in Tokyo for 6 months during his 20s.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was a great experience.
It is. It's a cool place to live.
About 10 years ago. Jihad, call me back when it's about programming. Shh, that hurts.
Oof.
He said, okay, guys, moving on. Yep. Dude, who even needs programming?
Yeah, honestly, like, if you're not going to hang out with us for one episode that's completely about Marxism and one episode that's completely about Japan, then you don't deserve our hard tech content.
Who even wants to talk about programming?
Yeah.
So boring.
Especially when I did it until like 5, 6 in the morning last night. You know, like I don't want to talk about programming.
Dude, I just feel like I'm in this really bad spot where I feel like I can't talk about anything I do.
Yeah.
So I talk to no one.
Yeah, well, this is the problem when you get into this like hype train mode where you're like, I'm going to do these big releases and stuff.
It is stupid, honestly, for that reason. It's really dumb.
Yep.
Yeah, it's tough because it's a fun experience as both the person doing it in the sense that I get to have complete freedom and not like worry about like changing my mind a lot. But it also is and not worry about people scooping me all the time and putting like a ton of pressure. But it also has the effect of not being able to talk and be excited about stuff in the
Yeah.
open.
That is annoying.
Yep.
Remember when you used to just like talk about stuff that you weren't supposed to talk about on the podcast because no one listens to the podcast? That was those were good times.
Those were good
You'd
times.
be like, no one listens to the podcast. I'll talk about the Livewire rewrite, even though I'm not
Right.
doing a Livewire rewrite. No one said that.
Simpler times. Undefined offset 0.
Yep. Get an empty array there, bud.
Oh boy.
Got yourself an empty array.
So, a podcast, something. I wonder if Simplecast dogged me, dude. Oh man.
Have you been dogged by
I
the
wonder if
cast?
Simplecast is dogging me.
You gotta switch to transistor, bro.
They auto upgraded me.
Simplecast did?
Yes, they kicked me off the good one, and now I'm on the bad one.
Oh no, you got dogged.
I got dogged.
Oh dog, you got dogged. That sucks.
Sucks really bad. Yeah. Shoot dupes.
Shoot my goot. Speaking of seeing what time things close, what time does the coffee shop close? I want to go to High Five. It's probably already closed. High Five, Riverside, Asheville.
Whoa, Michael Dorinda popped in.
Closes at 6. All right, I can get there.
Michael Dorinda.
Dorinda. Data get. Yeah, Dorinda. Always with the useful tips. Get out of here, man. If we want real
Data
answers to
Get is
real
my friend.
problems,
Would you
Dorinda.
get off of your high horse?
Dorinda, if we wanted actual solutions
realized
to
what I meant by
actual
that.
problems, we'd fucking let you know. We just like to complain.
You-
Sometimes you get dogged
Even
and you're
worse
a little bit
that-
unhappy.
yeah, dude.
Don't
Dude,
try
bro.
and solve my problems, Dorinda. Dorinda.
No class.
How many other people you know who got 2 Y's in their names?
Not a lot of people.
Why?
One guy, and that's all I can think of. Dude,
That's gotta be fun to write with your hands. Dorinda. Dude, this dude wants to paint right now. I'm not trying to paint right now. I'm tired.
but I'm not tired. Oh, now I'm getting dogged by ScreenFlow too. I'll give you a hot tip in a minute.
Hey.
Dude. I'm about to quit ScreenFlow.
Yeah?
Yeah. And when do you cut your losses when ScreenFlow is
Frozen?
calculating volume smoothing indefinitely,
Do you have the file somewhere?
but like everything else is working?
Is the file saved?
No.
Well, fuck.
And I can do. Yeah, I can't do anything, bro. Okay. Cutting my losses.
All right, I have your backup file if need be. Or do you have your audio file?
Dude, I'm not even able to quit ScreenFlow.
That's not good.
They forced me to force quit.
Dude, we are getting we're getting some subs to our YouTube channel. The people are showing up.
I think I understand what a dry fly is. Okay.
What? Why am I not? Oh, am I in a private window?
Away. Who's got
Right.
Black Samurai?
Well, no.
Oh, we got 69 subscribers on YouTube, bro. Nice.
That's hot. That's great.
All right, so we need to change the name of this thing to
Hello and welcome.
the actual episode. which we will do at some point. 69 subs. Screenshot of that.
Good.
All right.
You want to close off this?
Let's
Here.
kill it.
Kill it good.
User, listener, it's been a pleasure. We will be seeing you.